Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. How is everybody? I hope you've all had a very nice weekend. Hopefully everything seems to be working. Had a little bit of a mad panic about 5 minutes ago when I realized we were going to be doing the results of the giveaway today, and I hadn't set any of that stuff up. So I might have knocked a few buttons. I might have made a few mistakes. So please let me know in the comments if everything seems okay. Let me know if the sound's all right, if the picture's okay, all that kind of stuff, because I was just a mess about at the last minute. So, how are you all doing? There's quite a few of you in the chat already, but I won't get in too deep until I know everything is looking everything's looking all right. We've got a few people saying hello there. I'll just look to see one person tell me that it looks all right. Remember, your chat's about 20 seconds behind when I'm speaking here, so all sounds like it's good. All good. Thanks, Mark. Just saw that one. So we'll go back. We'll start again. How's everybody? We got Silver MKI in nice and early. He said, evening. Doesn't have to get up for work tomorrow, so we'll attempt to keep awake and watch the live stream for the first time in ages. Thanks very much, buddy. I really do appreciate it. And yes, 5 a.m. starts are a killer. We've also got Caldwell321 in. He's got a bunch of questions there, so I won't come on to them at the minute because we'll get onto that in a little bit. I've got a bit of ramble and stuff I want to talk about first. So thank you for the questions, but please do keep them coming, and I'll try and kind of skim back and go over them. If I miss them, please just ask them again. We've got Craig Lowther in as well. Good evening, Craig. VJ Morph. Good morning, buddy. Rob Marshall's in as well. Says evening all. I'm just reading your question there. We've got Stuart Noble in saying good evening. Hello to you, buddy. Steve Evans is in as well. Good evening, Steve. Who else? We got Christian Reeves in coming. Good evening, Christian. Mark, thank you very much as well for keeping me right there, making sure that the sound was okay. Thank you, Mark. We got Ian Scammons in. Hope your snotty nose is cleaned up a little bit, Ian. Hope you're well. We got Al Krabby in. Evening, mate. We've got Top Table Gaming in as well. I'm just seeing Jez saying, make the most of this, ask me anything. Yes, and then somebody else is saying, I didn't see that answer. I would say there are very few questions I won't answer, unless they're too personal, I guess, or they say too much about me, but yeah, there's not much I won't answer, to be fair. We've got 12 Neef in. Hello, 12 Neef, how are you? We've got Hal Martin in, says, good day all, Andy. Hope all is well, and you had a great week with the fam. We'll come on to that one. We've got Christopher Warden in. Good evening, Christopher. Marcus Hunt. He said he survived Monday so far. We're all just getting over that one, I think. We've got Zach Naffin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, buddy. Nice to see you in. We've got Skull Munch. Says, sup, dude. How you doing, fella? Marco's in as well. Says, audio and video is all good. That's good. We've got Eamon Honan in. Good evening to you, buddy. Scouting the Web. Hello, Lee. How are you? We've got Reluctant Archie in. Good evening, buddy. How are you, my friend? Furious George, up. Only one pin man. I think that's right. Good evening. He said, first time tuning in for the live stream. Just about to say I didn't recognise your name, so thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're well. He's just saying there that he's sat painting as well, so let me know what you're painting, mate. We've got Mark in from Dice Tales. How fella. We've got Adam Edgar in. Says, good morning, Andy and the BlackJackers. We've got Christopher saying afternoon all. Good evening, good evening, good afternoon, Christopher. Lee saying he's got a question on the Facebook group but can be just answered on there. I'm going to flick back into the Facebook group because I noticed there's a few questions in there as well. We've got John Whitesnake in. Howdy, John Whitesnake. Ian saying he's still snotty. And we've also got Jason in from Battle Knight. Hello, Jason, how you doing? And Tim Kelly says hi to all. And Phil Wilkinson, did I miss you before, Phil? I thought I saw your name, and I've also missed Jason as well, Jason Coyer. I think the chat jumped just as I was chatting. So, good evening to all of you, 32 of you, all in watching. So thanks very much for tuning in. As I've said tonight, we are going to be announcing the winner of the Artist Opus brush giveaway. So. Yeah, I hope everybody's entered because it would be nice if somebody wanted who was in the chat tonight. Let's be honest, it's always nice when that happens. Because what I'll do is, and we'll come on to it later on, I will draw the random comment I'll give them a week to get back to me, and if they haven't been back in touch within a week, we'll draw it again next week, another winner. What else have I got on my list of things I want to talk about today? So I want to really briefly just touch on some of the ways you can support the channel. So I've got a few different things going on at the minute. Some of it is kind of sort of, if you'd like to financially support me, there's ways. So I do have my Patreon, which is a way that you can kind of support the longevity of the channel and the future endeavors. There's always a link in all of my videos down in the description. So underneath the main video panel, if you click down into the description, there's always a link to my Patreon there. And if you remember, on the Facebook group, you can head across and check it out there as well. There's also some t-shirts on the Teespring store. Again, there's a link underneath in the comments. And if you do decide to pledge on Patreon, there's a pledge level where you'll get an exclusive t-shirt every 6 months that won't be available to anybody else to buy. It'll only be available as an exclusive free t-shirt to Patreon supporters. So a little bit of an incentive there as well. I'm also I've got an affiliate link with Element Games. So I should start out with, if you have a local game store, please do support them first and foremost. But if you tend to buy a lot of your stuff online, or you buy from Element Games, I now have an affiliate link, so you don't pay any more. You get the same discounted price you always get, and I make a little bit of commission from it, which all goes to helping with the channel. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well was there's Amazon links there as well. So again, if you're shopping on Amazon, if you click on my link, it just means that you pay the same price, and again, I get a little bit of commission. So there's different ways you can help support the channel if you would like to. So I appreciate that. I also want to talk about Top Table Legacy Weekender, which is happening this weekend, coming 4 days away. So yeah, today's Monday. Friday, it'll all kick off. Can't wait for this now. It's crept up from nowhere really, and I think this week the panic kind of set in. It's like, bloody hell, it's this week now. But really looking forward to it. I've been having a good chat with Luke from Luke's APS today. He's coming along at the weekend, so I've had a good chat with him today. I've also Jay's just mentioned to me today about running the quiz on the Saturday night. So I'll be doing the quiz on Saturday night. So hopefully anybody that's coming, I know there's a few in the chat who are. It'll be awesome to have you involved in that as well on the Saturday evening. Plenty of games planned for the 2 days. Anybody that is coming and want to play any particular games, either with me or Steve or Jay or any of the other guys that's going to be there, drop them into the Facebook group, drop them into the Top Table Legacy Weekender Facebook group. Let me know what you want to play so I can make sure that we bring the right stuff with us. If there's any particular games that you see behind me or you see me review on the channel that you'd quite like to play, let me know and I'll bring them all along. I want to talk about Aircon as well. So I did go to Aircon a couple of weekends ago, so I'll have a little bit of a review of that. I have been on holiday with the family, so there's a few people asked me about the holiday there. Had a really awesome time, I'll be honest. We went on Monday morning. We came back sort of Friday afternoon, so we were only away for 4 nights, 5 days, and the weather was a mixed bag, shall we say. So for those that might not know, I went to a place called Centre Parks in the UK, about an hour and a half away from me, over in Cumbria, and it was snowing the day before we got there. So I was expecting it to be like going on a winter wonderland, but actually it was really, really windy. But it never rained really. There was an odd spot of drizzle and stuff, so I was kind of wrapped up I looked like I was going on some kind of expedition thing in a big, thick, warm coat. But it kept me warm, and it meant we could get out and still kind of wander around the forest and have some kind of a bit of exercise, a bit of fresh air, a real break from kind of sitting in front of a screen all the time. And it was awesome. Had a really good time. I don't know if anybody follows me on Instagram or follows me on Twitter. If you don't, I'm at BlackJack Legacy on both of those. I posted a couple of pictures while I was away because the winds were so bad. One of the trees in the forest fell on top of somebody's lodge. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. There wasn't too much damage, but just kind of gives you an idea of just how windy it was while we were away. But we got the opportunity to play quite a few board games as well while I was away. So there's a video this week where I'll be talking about one of them in a bit more depth. But yeah, it was really good. Spend some time. Me, my wife, and the little boy. My wife's parents came for a few days as well, so they managed to. They had a night where they babysat for us, and we could go out for a meal. So we went out, and it doesn't happen very often. The two of us, we went for a meal and a few drinks, and we also had a few nights kind of in just playing board games together, the four of us. So yeah, It was really good. I've just seen a comment at the bottom saying you can afford to go to Centre Parks. That's because you go when the schools are still on. When you've got a 2-year-old child, you can afford to go when the schools are on. In the summer, it is a fortune. This will tell you how much it was. So it cost us, I think it was £350 for the lodge cabin thing for the 5 of us, including the little one, for the week, like for 5 days. So it wasn't too expensive. I then priced it up to go for a week in the summer with my twin boys while they're off school, and it was £1,700 for 7 days. I couldn't believe the difference in price. So yeah, if you go when it's cold and windy and wet, and the kids are at school and no one wants to go, it's not a bad price. So that's the best time to go, mate. But yeah, we had an awesome time. And tonight we've got the Ask Me Anything thing. So I did have a topic planned for tonight. It was on my board, it was in my diary, it was planned for tonight, and then at the last minute, kind of this morning, I thought, I think that's a better topic for a video. So I'm going to be doing that as a video, probably this week. So then it kind of left me with this what should I do tonight? So we've got the giveaway, we'll have a chat about aircon, and we'll also have a brief, if people want to chat about the weekender as well, we'll obviously have a chat about that, and then we'll also do the giveaway and Ask Me Anything stuff. So let's quickly have a quick chat back over. We've got Peter Nicholas has come in as well. His old chucks just fell to bits again. Marcus is in as well. Good evening, buddy. Says hope all is well. Only one pin man is saying he's painting a range of stuff on a bit of a terrain drive at the moment, so I'm surrounded by lots of bits of scenery. But because scenery uses mostly DIY products and takes so long to dry, mostly DIY. I know that feeling, buddy. Skull Muncher saying whoop whoop to the weekender. Phil Wilkinson says, how tall are you? Random question. First question of the night, and I might as well answer it while I come to it. It's been a long time since I've been measured, I suppose, for anything, but I'm 5'10". I'm not particularly tall. I'm 5'10". It's quite random because there's people that I never expect to be very tall who are kind of a bit taller. So the first time I met Jay from Tabletop Oddity, we met at UK Games Expo last year for the first time, and we chatted for like 6 months or kind of thing. We did the Legion live stream stuff together. We chatted nearly every day for a while. The first time I met him kind of face to face, he's kind of like 6'1", 6'2". I never expected him to be so tall. So yeah, 5'10", buddy. That's my height. What else? One pin man is saying he's also painting some beagles from KORA. Let me. I don't think I know what that was. Knights of something, is it? Keep me right where that was, mate. Says they're launching a new Kickstarter later this month, and I'm painting some prototypes ahead of the launch. Nice one, buddy. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, there's a link. There's always a link. There's a link in the description of this video. Head across, join the Facebook group, and then you can share some of those pictures so we can all have a look at them. That would be awesome. Robert Marshall said it's a shame he can't be there, but he's flying out for 6 months. Where you off to, Robert? Where are you off to, buddy? Christian saying his question is, what are the answers to the quiz? All will be revealed at the end of the quiz. John Whitesnake says, do you smoke cigars? I think I might have briefly touched on this if you saw my video last week about my room tour. I do have a cigar humidor, so it sounds really posy, but it's not, honestly. It's basically a box to control humidity. And I tend to buy cigars, either I get them sometimes as gifts for Christmas, or I'll buy them like sort of if I'm away with work and they're a lot cheaper abroad, I'll buy some then. And then every now and again, kind of in the summer, if the weather's nice and I sit out in the garden, I do like whiskey as well, so I might have a glass of whiskey, maybe sit and have a cigar, or have a cigar with a cup of coffee. But I probably smoke about 5 a year max, something like that. So yes, I do, but I tend not, like, it's not like a kind of a 2 or 3 a day habit or anything random like that. We've got Andy Smith in. He says, good evening, Andy Smith. He said, I read Bolt Action or Legion. At the minute, Legion, because I've never played Bolt Action, but who knows. Anyway, I'm answering all these questions. I should come back to these. I will come back to these questions. Furious George is saying, what's the most disappointing game you ever played? The one you were dead excited for, then felt really let down. I'll come back to that because I don't want to get into questions too early, so I'll come back to that. But what we'll do is, why don't I talk about Aircon? Because I've just seen Jason's question, were you really at Aircon? Yes, I was. I would have been nice to catch up, Jason. That would have been good. But yeah, I don't know how I didn't see. I mean, the place wasn't that big, but I think if you were anything like me, you kind of camped out and played games all day, so you were in pretty much one spot. So, what did I think of Aircon? First time I've ever been. It's in a place called Harrogate, which is kind of North Yorkshire. It was about an hour and 20 minutes drive for me, so perfect. Get up in the morning, kind of drive down there, park up, and go in. There was a bit of a queue to get in the morning, which I don't think I was expecting. I don't know how busy I was expecting it to be, but I didn't get there for an opening, but there was still a queue to get in when I got there. But really well organised to get in there. Pass on my phone, but they kind of had my name behind the desk as well. You got your lanyard with your badge, the security there was kind of to have a look through bags as you went in. So yeah, really well organised and in nice and swiftly. The place itself is in the convention centre, which is mainly used kind of, like for work stuff and things. And I don't know how it's been in previous years, but as you went in through one of the main entrances, there was a huge big hall which had rows of kind of people selling stuff. So I can't think what the word is, but basically, like vendors, selling different board games. Travelling Man were there from York, selling a lot of their stuff. They were one of the big sponsors. Lots of kind of smaller boutique type stuff, things like dice bags, dice, and different accessories, a whole mix of stuff. And they weren't the kind of the big names that you'd expect to see, so you saw some really cool stuff. And I have to apologise, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I did get introduced to a guy who was a painter, and he was sitting selling these paintings. And his paintings are used for the Magic the Gathering cards, the art. And I was sitting chatting to him for a little while, and the painting he was doing was unbelievable. At first glance, it just looked like it was kind of, some kind of computer-generated printed thing. But he was sitting painting it over the weekend, I guess, and it was phenomenal. So I apologise. I can't. I'm really bad with names. People who know me will know that. But I just wanted to kind of say what an absolute fantastic, a real artist, what a fantastic painter this guy was. I've just saw Hendrik at the bottom saying, did I miss the prize result? I've not drawn it yet, Hendrik. I'll do it after I've talked about Aircon. So there was different vendors there. There was a huge big sort of bring and buy area. So people could obviously bring and sort of sell their games that they no longer wanted. You could have a look around there, and the prices were really obviously reasonable because it was just people selling their own second-hand stuff. That was pretty busy all day, and it was actually quite difficult to get around and have a look at it. It might be nice in the future to have a little bit more space for that, but it was still really well organised. There was a couple of other bits of areas as well. So there was like a role-playing area as well, which I didn't sort of take part in, but there was an area for role-playing. There was an area where Rodney Smith from Watch It Played, he was sort of doing some sort of demo stuff and things and playing games with people. I don't know exactly what he was there as kind of a special guest. I don't know whether anybody could go and sit and play games with him, or if it was competition winners or whatever it was. But he seemed really approachable, having a chat. He was wandering around at one point, kind of doing some filming and stuff, and sort of stopped and said hi and very briefly sort of had a chat. But yeah, seemed like a really nice guy, so it was nice to see him there. Anybody that's familiar with Paul Grogan from Gaming Rules, he was there doing some demos as well. So yeah, there was some like kind of, I say it in inverted commas, some kind of board gaming celebrities, if you like. And so that was the kind of the main area. There was a huge area where there was open gaming, where I spent most of my time. And then as you kind of went through, there was some food and drink area, more open gaming. There was more open gaming upstairs as well. And there was also some seminars that went on during the day as well. So when I first got there, I got a text message, and I was sitting down kind of messaging Alex while I was there, who I was going to be meeting. And I was sitting on my own, and somebody came over and said, like, are you that guy off BlackJack Legacy? And it was a lady in her family, and she said that her husband was a big fan of kind of like the videos and stuff, and he'd bought one of the t-shirts, but he'd gone off to get a cup of coffee or something, so he wasn't there. So they invited me to come and sit and play a game with them, which I thought was awesome. The one kind of overriding thing I would say of the whole sort of the time I was there was everybody was really friendly. I never saw kind of any... I never got the impression... I got the impression that if I wanted to sit down and play a game, or if I'd sat on my own for long enough, somebody would have invited me to a game, which I don't get from every convention. So it did feel a really friendly one. So I must admit, again, names-wise, I am awful, but the gentleman's name's gone out of my head. I've got Peter in my head, but that could be wrong. But if you're watching the video, buddy, or if you're in the chat, please say hello. That would be really nice. Because to meet you and your family was awesome, and to invite me to come and play some games with you was amazing, and it was really nice, and it was great to kind of sort of spend a short time with you all. So I hope you had a great weekend as well. I then went to see a seminar. So there was a gentleman who was at... I think he was at York University, and he was doing his thesis around communities in board gaming. So I went and watched that seminar and listened to him for a little while. And that was actually really interesting as well. Just the kind of the history of gaming communities really, and what can we teach the wider world, because people tend to, and I say tend to be more accepting and more, there's a lot more variety of people that play board games from all walks of life compared to something like fishing, for example, or sort of photography. Board gaming as a hobby seems to sort of stretch over a wide social circle. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. And then I met up with Alex. We played a few games. We went and demoed a game called Magnate, which is coming out on Kickstarter soon from Naylor Games, which is essentially kind of, its build is almost the game that Monopoly should have been. So the idea is you're property developers, you're buying land, you're building up buildings, you then put tenants into those buildings and take the rent back, and all the time you're watching for the housing market to crash. And as you're getting close to it, that's the time to kind of flip your buildings and take all of the cash before the whole thing crashes. And we played a game of that. I really enjoyed it, actually. It was really good fun. It's coming to Kickstarter soon. I had a quick chat with James Naylor, who's the designer, and hopefully I kind of might do something, have a chat with him before the Kickstarter goes live, or during the Kickstarter. That would be awesome. I then also played The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. I've never played that before. Really, really enjoyed that. We played it at the maximum 5 players, and it was really, really good fun. Really had a good time. And I think I finished second or third, to be honest. But yeah, it was good. It was a game I'd definitely play again. And I thought the production value of it was really good. The sort of the figures for the different crime families, the little sort of suitcases that you have to keep your cards and your money in, I thought was really, really good. And then I played a number of just kind of smaller, very fast kind of playing games as well. And then it was time for me to kind of head back home and to go home to the family. So overall, had a really, really good day. Would love to go back again. If you're into board gaming, I would say it is probably the friendliest convention I've ever been to. Everybody was really kind of sort of going out of their way to be helpful. The stall holders weren't your usual kind of, it wasn't just the same stuff you see everywhere else. And it wasn't absolutely rammed kind of with like a million kind of sort of half-finished playtest stuff. A lot of the playtest stuff that was there really was kind of top quality. So can only recommend it a lot. I just saw in the chat there, I can't believe Craig's just saying it was Paul Porter. That was it. Paul, that's what it was. Thank you very much, Craig, for reminding me. And thank you, Craig, for the game as well. I have a terrible head for names. I can remember faces, but I'm no good with names. It takes me all my time to remember all of your names in here and who you are, who your real names are. So I quite often get them wrong. I apologise for that, but it was awesome to meet you all, and I'm glad you had a great time. And I just saw Tony as well is saying that he can't believe he couldn't find me. I know I was there. Well, somebody's just confirmed I was there, so there you go. And Battle Knights is saying he's just uploaded his video of his experience at Aircon as well on the Gaming Nights channel. I recommend everybody goes and checks that out on his Gaming Nights channel, because I just saw, actually before I came on live tonight, I saw that you'd uploaded it. And that'll give people a real good impression of what it's like. So if you're into board gaming, If you want to go for a lot of kind of the open gaming, I think some of the stuff on the evening sounded really good as well, but unfortunately I couldn't stay for it. I think next year I'll try and make it over 2 days, I think, so I can get an overnight experience there as well, but would 100% recommend it to anybody. So yeah, that's Aircon. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I will now we'll do the draw for, so this is what some of you will have come for. 48 of you in here now have come in. Let's see how many disappear after we draw this. So this, very, very kindly given to me to, well, to be fair, they just, the guys at Artist Opus gave it to me to try it out, see what I think of it. However, I'm giving this one away because I've already got my own, he says. I've already got my own brushes that I use. So I thought it only fair to give these ones away. So in here, as you'll have seen on the video, in a very nice box, these are the Series S, 000, 000, 0, and 1. So let's flick across to the other screen. So what you'll see here, and I'm doing this from quite some distance away, so hopefully you'll see here, this is the video with my smug little face there. I'm going to copy across the top of the web address, and then we're going to come to here, and I am going to post that into here. I'll tell you what, let's just refresh this as well because I was testing it out earlier on. There we go, I could do that now. Load in the comments. So we've got the comments in there. And then now what we'll do is we will draw them and we'll see what happens. So the winner of the Artist Opus brushes is, if I can read it from that far away, Shaggy Wargaming, Jack. He's not in tonight actually, but he normally is. So Jack is the winner of the Artist Opus brushes. So, do you know what is? My wife's in the next room and I've just seen she's made a comment on here saying Lou Burtis, nice trousers. Thanks, Lou. So yeah, I've just been in the bath before I came on here, so I've got my kind of Marvel superhero trousers on. There you go. I won't be showing you all. Don't worry about it. So yes. So Jack, if he comes in later on, we will remind him. No doubt he'll be in the Facebook group as well during the week. But if for whatever reason he doesn't get in touch with me during the week, we'll do it next week. And Phil's saying unsubscribe. Let's see what happens. Let's see how many we get unsubscribed now and how many disappear from the chat. So we'll go back to the main one. So these will be on their way to Jack. And I think, well, we're not too far away from 5,000 subscribers now. I'm hoping to get to 5,000 by the summer. I would love to get there by UK Games Expo. That's my little, I was going to say my little private target, but now you all know that if I get to 5,000, when I get, because I will get there eventually, even if it takes me years. When I get to 5,000, we'll have another giveaway and we'll make it a super good one as well. Okay, so let's get into the chat for some of these questions. Now I'm going to scroll back over so I can kind of pick up some of these questions now. So Caldwell says, your favourite Black Library novel? Now, you might be surprised to hear that I've only read 2 Black Library books. And I've read Horus Rising and I've read False Gods, and that's all I've read. I'm not really massively into the lore of the 40k stuff, and I don't really read a lot if I'm perfectly honest, but I read Horus Rising twice because I struggled with it the first time, purely because there's so many characters in it, and I'm not that kind of up on the lore that I kind of struggle to remember who was what. So I read it again a second time a while later, and I quite enjoyed it, and it did make me want to then go on and read False Gods and carry on, but I just don't have a lot of free time to read, if I'm honest. Favourite Horus Heresy Legion? Again, I'm not really up on the lore, but I do like the idea of the Lunar Wolves from that first Horus Heresy book. I do quite like the sound of that. Favorite video game? That's quite an interesting one, actually. I'd probably say the Uncharted series is my favorite games, because it's probably the only series of games where I've bought every single one and I've completed every single one. Obviously got fond memories of games from when I was younger, and I love things like Resident Evil. I love the Metal Gear Solid. I used to play Speedball too, like constantly when I was a kid on my Mega Drive. But I would say overall, I think certainly the Uncharted series on PlayStation is probably my favourite. And he said, also, what do you think? Oh, he said, how do you paint white? I tend to paint it with a grey base, and then I kind of highlight up to white, like a real extreme white. And I tend not to worry too much about shading it, because it tends to be so bright that it almost creates its own shade. So my Stormtrooper models are just white. So I haven't put any shade on them, but they kind of self shade, if you like, with the white. So I tend not to kind of get too hung up on it. He also says, what do you think of Blood Bowl and Gorkamorga? Blood Bowl, I'm not a big fan of, if I'm honest. I feel like it's one of those games where if you're playing against really experienced players, you just you can't even get a foothold in the game. I don't really I've never felt like I've been in the game. And Gorkamorga, never played. It kind of passed me by because I wasn't really in and around the game at that time. So yeah, that answers your questions. Robert Marshall says, if you were a shape, what shape would you be and why? I'd be a long rectangle, because I'm normally more of a spherical shape. So I'd like to be tall and thin. And VJ says, how was your time off with the family? I think I've already touched on that one, VJ, but thanks for asking. Had a really, really good time. Really chilled. My wife will probably disagree and say that I was still on my phone quite a bit more often than she expected to. But for me, I put it down a lot more than I would do normally. Mark says, which game haven't you played that you really want to? And also, what game, if any, that you absolutely hate? So which one have I not played that I really want to? Probably Gloomhaven from a board gaming perspective. And I haven't played it because it's really expensive. And I'm not sure I'd spend that much money on a game to play solo. And I think it's probably a bit too deep to get Lou and stuff into it. So that's probably the one game I'd want to play from a board game perspective. From a miniatures game perspective, which one would I want to play that I haven't? I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. I've kind of played a lot of miniature games. Maybe Bolt Action. I was been talking about World War II stuff recently. Never played it. Does interest me. Let's say Bolt Action. Silver MKI says, essential multi-role genre terrain. Can't go wrong with trees. Can't go wrong with walls. And I do like kind of like sort of sci-fi barriers and stuff. There's never a game where you can't put sci-fi barriers in them. You can use them as a there's fantasy games, but you can use them for kind of modern day stuff like Walking Dead. You can use them for barriers in 40k or whatever. So yeah, that would be it, I think. 12 Neve saying, good afternoon from Brooklyn. I forgot you'd said that you were in Brooklyn, buddy. Nice to have you in. Let's have a look. I'm just nipping it down to look for more of these questions now. Lee's saying he's got a question on the Facebook group. Let me find that. So, Lee's question on the Facebook group was, he thinks it's been covered, but recommends some family board games. He's finally persuaded them to start playing with him, but admittedly we started very basic so far, Frustration and Uno. It doesn't really matter how basic they are, mate. If people enjoy playing them, then they're good games. And I think sometimes there's a bit of a snobbery and a little bit of gatekeeping when it comes to board gaming, that people who have been playing for quite a long time can say things like, or like dismiss games like Monopoly is awful, or you shouldn't play that, or you shouldn't play that. If your family enjoys the games, then they're good games. But if you're just starting out, I would definitely recommend Carcassonne. That certainly it's a pretty straightforward game, really easy to teach. And also I've got a video tomorrow night. Not wanting to give too much. Actually, I'm not going to show you. Tomorrow night's video is the perfect game. That's the next game you should buy with your family, is tomorrow night's video. There you go. A little bit of teasing, bit of marketing there. Let's see where we Oh, have we got any more questions before we get down? We've answered that one. Phil Wilkinson saying, love or hate Marmite? Most intense question. How about never tried Marmite? I just don't like the smell. So I've never actually tried it. Jason saying, were you actually at Aircon? Somebody in the chat has confirmed it. Marcus is saying, which one tabletop game would you play at tournament level and why? So I used to play quite a lot of tournament stuff. I played Malifaux for a couple of years at tournament level. I then moved over and played War Machine and Hordes quite seriously, went to kind of UK championships and travelled around quite a bit for that. I've played AOS a little bit at tournament level. However, I'm not good. And that's primarily because I've never had the free time to dedicate to just playing one game to be good enough to kind of climb the ladder, if you like. But if I could play one game now, if you could say to me today, you're going to be really great at something, and you can play at tournament level, which one would it be? I think it would potentially be. It's quite a tough one, that actually. It might be something like Guild Ball, because it's one of those games I think that when you are really good at it, or Infinity maybe. It's those kind of games that when they really click and you put the time and effort into them, they're just a different game. If you're playing it as a kind of casual gamer, you'll still have fun, but I think those ones that have really good interactions between models and synergies, and they're on a smaller kind of board size, there's something about them, I think, rather than 40k or something like that. Robert says he's getting deployed and he can't say where. Sorry, mate. VJ was saying the room tour was really good. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, buddy. Ian's asking, what's your favourite whiskey? I've got quite simple taste when it comes to whiskey. I do quite like. I'm not into kind of really aged stuff. It's always a bit heavy for me. But I do quite like Monkey Shoulder. I would say is probably my whiskey that's kind of easy going. Like that's kind of like that. That's my regular tipple, if you like. But I'll try most things. So in a previous job, in a previous life, I used to be a wine taster. And that really got me into flavours of things. So in the past, I wouldn't touch whiskey. Had a bad experience as a teenager where I was exceptionally sick drinking whiskey, and that put me off for almost a lifetime. But when I got into a job where I was a wine taster, it really opened my eyes to different flavours, and it became less about did I like the wine, and it was more about what flavours could I identify within them, and it really did open my eyes. And that was when I started to kind of get into tasting whiskies and things like cigars as well, because it's just the flavour profiles. It's one of those things that if you say you don't like whiskey, chances are you probably just haven't tasted the right one yet. And it's the same with wines and things like that. So yeah, a lot I'm seeing there. Artie is here. Yeah, no, it's not that one, buddy. Paul saying, how's things shaping up for the weekend, mate? They're shaping up pretty well, mate. As always, there's that kind of last minute panic when you remember all the things that still need to be done, but really looking forward to it. I think we've got about 30 people playing Middle-earth strategy battles, so that's kind of the big event for over the 2 days. But there's a lot of other people going. There's going to be plenty of bits of sort of games on the side, plenty of other events. Plenty of board games. There's the quiz on the Saturday night. Luke's there building his board on the Saturday as well. He's just kind of pulling together all the bits and pieces he needs to make his board. We've got Kev there from Shadow and Flame doing the painting. Really looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be kind of stressful and enjoyable all at the same time. Tony was saying he's sorry he's late. He was actually playing the game. Yeah, you're forgiven, buddy. And Andy was saying, what's the most disappointing game you played? Easy for me to answer, Marriage. The most disappointing game? I'm not really sure, actually. Potentially, and this is probably quite harsh, actually, but potentially Highlander. Because I had high hopes for it, if I'm honest. And I loved the film. So I think I kind of built it up to hopefully be better than it was. Not that it is an awful game, but I think it was because I hoped it would be better than it was. So potentially that more, only because it's kind of in my recent memory. I'm sure there's been others that I've not enjoyed, but that's the one that kind of is more in more recent times. Tony was saying a new car racing game called Vector 8 Racing. Sounds cool, buddy. Al was saying, thoughts on the Shadow Spear monopause models. Sculpts are great, not overly convinced by the repeats and monopause characters. I'm not a huge kind of kit basher when it comes to models. I don't really enjoy building the models. That's not the bit that I get the enjoyment from. So I'm not one of these people that kind of raids bit boxes and goes for all these fancy bits and tries to make them really stand out. I tend to just want to get them together so I can paint and play with them. So monopause models for me has never really been a bit of an issue. To be honest, I quite like kind of sort of pre-built models. So things like the Walking Dead minis, things like Guild Ball miniatures. I'm not against that kind of stuff either. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. But I guess if you're really into the hobby, monopause models are becoming a bit of a problem, I think. Craig Notman there, keep me right well about Paul. Thanks, buddy. Pulled me out of the crap there, didn't you? Let's have a look. We've got any more? Ruth, good evening, Ruth. I've not said hello to you. Saying, what's your name again? Can't possibly say anything. Peter is saying his real name is Blood Angel Epiphany. Let's go down. There's my wife telling me about my lovely trousers. Everyone's saying hi, congrats to Jack. Where are we now? God, where is it? Where are we? Everyone's saying hi to Jack. We've got Frost and Fist in as well. Good evening, buddy. How are you doing? Phil saying, do you prefer the Black Legion models or the new Primaris? I kind of am a fan of the Primaris. I'll be honest, when I'm painting up my Space Wolf stuff, I just prefer the bigger scale of it, and that's more to do with just because they're easier to paint. I think it's that the old ones aren't awful. I just think they're a bit more dated now, I think. So yeah, I am a fan of the Primaris, I'll be honest. Hal Martin said, it's a crime you aren't at 5k subs. I'm not just kissing ass. One of the nicest guys in the industry and one of the kindest communities to follow. Folks need to spread the word. Hal, that is really, really nice of you to say so, and I really do appreciate that. And I will just back up what you said. Please share the word. I do find a part of the reason I do this is I really enjoy the community that's kind of built around it. I was literally just saying to my wife tonight that these Monday night live streams, like literally that they don't get sort of like hundreds or thousands of views or anything like that. I do them because I enjoy them. I enjoy the chat with you folks that come into the chat. It's not, I wouldn't say they're growing my channel. I wouldn't say they're kind of, they're not harming me, if you like, but I don't think they really do anything to kind of help the channel grow. I do them because I love them. I do them because I enjoy them. So yeah, spread the word. Jason says, do you put your left foot or your right foot into a shoe first? It depends if it's in my left shoe or my right shoe, Jason. And I have never really thought about it, but now I'm going to think about it every time I put my shoes on now, so I've probably kind of caught myself out. Frost and Fist says, how goes your Space Wolf project? It's going all right. To be honest, and I'll be perfectly honest, I've not done any more since my last update video, which is why you haven't seen it recently, but that's more to do with the fact having a week away on holiday, churning out the videos. Normally I'll try and get a bit of time on a weekend where I might sort of sit and do a bit of painting or do a little bit of time during the week, but I've just been kind of churning through the videos at the minute. So I'm hoping, like this weekend, we're away at the top table weekender, so there'll be no more painting gets done this week. I've still got videos to do this week as well, and obviously because I'm losing the weekend where I would normally spend time making videos, I've still got videos to do for next week as well. So that the Space Wolves, whilst they're not on hold, they are just they're waiting for a gap in the schedule to get some more paint on them. Corey is in as well. Good evening, Corey. Says, have you played any Infinity? Me and Lee from Top Table Lee played a couple of games of Infinity over at Element Games a little while ago. My wife actually played the introductory scenarios from the Operation Cold Front with me as well, so we've played them ones. And I did many moons ago, many years ago, had a couple of games of Infinity that just like kind of dove back like straight into it at full scale. And and I found it quite hard because the guy I was playing against obviously knew exactly what he was doing. But it's a game that aesthetically really does kind of ring with me. I love the look of the game. What's always stopped me in the past is the fact that you need a metric ton of terrain to kind of get started, and it's actually quite a steep learning curve, which is why, I've said this a few times, but I will be playing through those missions. What makes it difficult is when I'm sort of making the amount of videos I'm making now, I need to try and get time to sit down and film a battle report with somebody who's got free time when I've got free time. And that's not easy. And that's why you tend to see kind of me on the channel more than anything else. Where are we at? Only one Pinman says, tip for painting white. Remember, you're actually never painting white unless you're doing a flat panel like a skirting board. On miniatures, it's always based using the colour. Yeah, I saw a video a little while ago where they used purple to shade yellow, and it looked awesome. Like, it's one of those things that you'd never really think about, but white's similar, isn't it? But you also don't want to go stark, kind of. You don't want to go opposite with black, kind of thing. Yeah. Rui is in as well. Good evening, Rui. He said, congratulations to Jack. What war game would you like to see made as a TV show? That's a good one. I think we've just been talking about it. So Infinity, I think, would make an awesome kind of like an anime series. I know they do a graphic novel, like a comic book about it. I think that would make an awesome sort of anime series. And then if I think about something like, I wonder what war game? I actually think something like I could see something like Guild Ball making a really cool kind of Gangs of New York type, sort of like less about the actual football itself and more about the different guilds. I can imagine that being that kind of Gangs of New York type thing. So that would be cool as well. Furious George says, as a percentage, how much of your gaming time is spent on video games and how much on tabletops? At the minute, George, it is 100% tabletop and 0 video games. Well, I'll rephrase that. It's probably 99% and 1% video games. I've hardly played anything recently. I've had a few games of Apex Legends recently that I play with Jason and one of the other guys. I've actually been meaning to get on the Apex Legends and play with Martin Thirlwell as well from Mantic. He's picked that up recently, and I've not managed to get online and play with him yet. And there's games I want to play, I'll be honest, like things like Division 2 I'm really interested in playing. I picked up a load of stuff a while ago that I've just not had any time on. And at the minute, it's that's my sacrifice, really. If I want to try and grow this channel, and if I want to try and kind of do the best I can with this, pretty much all of my other kind of hobbies and interests have been 100% sacrificed. So yeah, at the minute, I'm not doing any gaming at all at the minute. Paul is saying Carcassonne for the win. Silver MKI says, Istanbul, Ticket to Ride, all fun, easy to get into board games. 100% buddy. Top Table Game says, who's your favourite top table host? That's a loaded question, Jay, isn't it? I'll have to say Jay won't. Jay, I met you first. So there you go. I'll have to say you, buddy. Tony's saying about Family Games, King of Tokyo, and Camel Up are good as well. Yeah, I've not played Camel Up, but I've heard good things about that one. And Jay's saying, if you had more hobby time, damn YouTube channels, what games would you love to go and play? I think I would love to play. I'd probably like to play Song of Ice and Fire. I think I like the slightly bigger scale of the miniatures, and I like the kind of the theme of it. I think I'd also like to play. What's the other one I'd like to play? I'm not really sure, buddy. Actually, I'm honest. I mean, there's so much. There's so much to choose from that I don't think I could really concentrate on one or two games. That's always been my problem, really. That's why I'm never very good at them. To be honest, if I had more hobby time, I'd probably use it to do something else, like spend some time with the family or play some computer games. RT said, his question, do you watch battle reports? And who would you say are the top industry vloggers who you admire? I'll be honest, I don't watch battle reports at all, which is why I sometimes struggle with them, because I personally don't find them interesting to watch, purely because I'm not that invested in one particular game. So I struggle to make them because I don't personally find them very interesting, and I don't know how that sits with people. I don't know what you think about it. Do you watch battle reports? Do you prefer short ones, long ones? Do you prefer really in-depth ones? I tend to watch like a little bit of them. If there's a new game come out or something like that, I tend to watch them to see how the game plays. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of battle reports, I'll be honest. And who would you say top industry vloggers who you admire? I think some of the obvious ones, people like Tabletop Minions, like Ash Barker, the Beast of War guys have always been kind of an inspiration for me as well, like the way they kind of cover lots of different things. So I think they're some of the guys at the top of the game. I think the stuff that Luke's doing at the minute on Luke's APS, he's really, I mean, he's always had a good channel, but some of the quality that he's really putting into his videos now, like the editing has just like, it's come to a different level. The quality of his video work's come to a different level. I think he's really starting to kind of push some boundaries as well now. So he's one to watch, I think. But a lot of the stuff that I take my inspiration from are probably not from kind of wargaming or stuff. So people like Peter McKinnon is a kind of like a photographer and a videographer. I watch a lot of his stuff for editing tips. He's just got a really kind of good camera presence. So yeah, it's a real mix, really. I tend not to watch a lot of wargaming channels because I guess I'm always conscious that I don't want to get influenced by other people and feel like as soon as I've seen something I've enjoyed, then that's in my head, and I don't want to end up repeating that same stuff. I have been watching a lot more board gaming stuff as well recently as well, like over the last kind of 6 to 12 months. So people like Shut Up and Sit Down, people like No Pun Included, sorry. There's channels like that. People like Rodney Smith, they're all very different and they've got different approaches. So I think what I'm watching for is to see what do the big channels do within our niche. What do the big channels do that I don't, and what can I learn from that? And then I go try and look at other channels outside of gaming to see what I think works and what doesn't, that I can use and bring into my stuff. So yeah, I don't know whether I do or not, but that's always the aim of it. Jason says, do you play Keyforge? If so, what are your thoughts? I do play it, not very often, and I only don't play it very often because I'm playing everything else, but I really enjoy it. For me personally, it's by far the best card game of that type. Magic the Gathering is a money sink, and it's just too hard to get into, and that community is too kind of established. I absolutely loved Star Wars Destiny, but again, it was just unbelievable. The money that I spent on that in such a short space of time just to try and keep pace with it completely caught me off guard. I'd never played really card games before. Keyforge is perfect because you literally can buy one deck and you're in, you're done, you're playing. I've got about 3 or 4 decks, and that's kind of done me. I enjoy it just to play the game. I'd maybe like to kind of dip my toe in and play at a kind of competitive level at some point just to see what the difference is. But yeah, socially wise, really enjoy it. I'll be bringing some decks to Top Table Weekender. Sorry. Where are we? Wow, we've got a million. This really has been a good chat tonight. Actually, we've got a good bunch in, and there's loads of questions. Hobby time. Favorite Aristea character and why? It is 8-Ball, purely because it just looks like Kung Fu Panda, and I just absolutely love the character. I just think I don't know who it would be from a player perspective because I'm still kind of getting used to the game myself. But I just love 8-Ball, the aesthetic of that model, to have some kind of like sort of some fighting panda in that. Just you couldn't get away with it in other kind of games. Really like it. Top Table Gaming. Can you recommend any YouTube channels with the word top and table in that are worth checking out? can. There's a one called On Tabletop. Oh, that's what people are saying below. Yes, make sure if you are not already subscribed to Top Table Game, and those are the guys that I am hosting the weekend with next weekend, or this weekend I should say, get over there and check it out. They cover a multitude of wargaming stuff. Not so much the board gaming stuff like I do as well, but multitude of different games. And to be honest, there's not a lot of games we clash on either. So if you're into your fantasy battles, if you're into your strategy battles, your Lord of the Rings stuff, loads of stuff on that channel on that. They're just dipping into Vanguard now as well. So yeah, we tend not to cross over on games too much as well. So definitely worth checking it out. Everybody's saying about Will Wheaton on Tabletop. I wouldn't say it was kind of an inspiration and stuff, but it definitely showed that there was a market for, or a bigger market for kind of this, for online gaming stuff, or like analog gaming. So yeah, that's another one I would say I've kind of watched for. Tim says, when you say wine, do you mean Newcastle Brown? Couldn't possibly comment, mate. I couldn't possibly comment. Let me get a quick drink because I'm drying out a bit here. And I've had to go back in the chat, so I've missed loads of stuff here. Adam is saying he likes Glenmorangie Fireball whiskey. I quite like the Jack Daniel's Fireball, that's quite nice. And Jack Daniel's Honey, I really like as well, actually. Patrick Peterson, good evening, Patrick. Thank you for joining us. He said, thoughts about how to introduce an out-of-print rule set to a group of gamers. For example, introducing Geely's War of the Ring when it differs from the current one. It's a really tough one, that, buddy, because you have to be a set of gamers that don't mind the fact that it's no longer supported. Because if you think about how upset people were about when 8th edition of Fantasy Battles disappeared, if people were quite happy to just play that game, they had all of their books, they had all their models, they could have quite happily said, screw you, GW, we're not going to buy any of your models, we're just going to play with what we want. But that's not what happens, is it? So once a set of rules goes out of print and it's no longer supported, it makes it really difficult. So I think your gaming group have to want to be into it. It'll take a lot of convincing to get somebody to pick up a game that isn't supported, I think. Skullman says, can I shock you? I like wine. For those who get the reference. I think I do, but I'm not going to embarrass myself by saying it. Frost and Fist says, love the Highlander movies and series. That's sad to hear. It was disappointing. Not an awful game. If you check out my review of it, you'll kind of see, I think that the theme was pretty well done, but it didn't resonate with me. I've seen other reviews where people have really enjoyed it, so it was just my personal opinion, I think. We've got Michael in as well. It says, evening all, running a bit late. Not to worry, buddy. Always good to have you here. Paul saying he's gutted he can't make the weekend. He'll be a little bit busy at Franticon. I get that, mate. And I hope you guys the best as well. I hope you have an awesome weekend. It looks like what you've got planned is fantastic too. And he says, hopefully you can make it up there soon for an event. Maybe I can convince you and your son to venture south to one of our doubles events. You never know, buddy. You never know. Might well do that, actually. Might well do that, because I have been chatting to Sam, actually. We have been talking about coming to a Vanguard weekend. It's a Vanguard event together. So I think he'd be a lot keener if we could do something doubles. So yeah, who knows? We might do, mate. We might do. Tony said it sounds like Alan Partridge. Flying Mal says, are you bringing Hayes Negan at the weekend? If you'd like me to bring Hayes Negan, I will bring Hayes Negan. So yes, I can do. I was watching Alan Partridge. Has anybody been watching the new series of Alan Partridge? Is it called It's Time? I think it is. It's that kind of real mix. It's kind of old school Partridge where it's almost too cringy to watch. It's almost embarrassing. You feel for the guy. It's really, really good. Hero of the Table. Good evening, Hero of the Table. How are you doing? I don't think we've chatted before. Just checking. Robert said, do you play World of Tanks at all? Never played it, mate. And Skullmunch says, Division 2 is amazing, by the way. I watched the review of it tonight, actually, and I am like, oh, I just wish I had the time to play it. It looks awesome. I quite enjoyed Division 1, but never sort of didn't really put the time into it, but I enjoyed the premise of it, and I've heard this is basically Division 1, but just much better. Sorry, there was a question there from Hero of the Table. Any interest in the new Hellboy game from Mantic? I backed the Kickstarter and I'm looking forward to getting my copy. 100% cannot wait, mate. Can't wait. I don't know how new you are to my channel, whether you've watched any of my older stuff, but I was really, really fortunate to get involved, like sort of when Hellboy was really, when it was first announced. I went down and was part of the original play test for the original rules alongside the Mantic guys and James Hewitt. I then got invited to James's office to play through the game on camera, so that they had the video to go with the Kickstarter as well. So I was really lucky to kind of get in and play the game in its earliest forms. I've then been back to Mantic since then as well, and I did an unboxing of all of the Kickstarter stuff. So I got my hands on it. So I physically had the new Kickstarter in my hand, and it is awesome. I can't wait for it to arrive. And then I had to hand it all back again. But I've also done an unboxing of the retail version as well that I don't think anybody's really seen yet. And that's coming up on the channel in a few weeks' time. I've got basically a date that I'm not allowed to release the video beforehand, but I videoed it like in January, I think it was. So that's one to watch out for. I've done a couple of like reviews about it as well. I've had a few chats with James. The game is awesome. I can't wait for it to come. The miniatures are great. The components are great. But best of all, the rules are good as well. So you won't be sorry when it comes. Furious George says, Thunderbird, Stingray or Captain Scarlet or Joe 90. They kind of passed me by a little bit. And I didn't really watch any of them. I was probably more into like He-Man and Mask and stuff like that, rather than those kind of the puppet stuff. I actually remember watching, what was the one? What was the one with the little metal balls that were bouncing around? Was it Zoids? No, not Zoids. I forget what it was called now. Zelda was like the bad guy, the bad sort of the evil woman in it, wasn't she? And the guy, Windsor Davies, who used to do a voice who was one of the characters in Ain't Half Hot Mum, did the voice of one of those little metal balls. I forget what it's called now. Somebody will tell me in the chat. VGA says, Luke's latest video with the snow D&D board was hilarious. Watching him mess up like the rest of us is great. That's part of the beauty, isn't it? It was like when I was doing that painting the eyes video. I made a right clanger with it. The camera was kind of in front of my face, and I like to get really close when I'm doing that kind of stuff, and I couldn't because the camera was there, and I was trying to judge it and make sure it was on the camera, and I made a right old splodge of it, and it was like, bugger, I'm just going to strip it and do it again. And it was like, no, other people will mess it up, and I need to show that everybody messes up and that it's not over. You can recover it, kind of thing. So I think that's good. I think it's good to see that. Where was that? Oh, that's just jumped off there. He says, Phil says, do you like the new Abaddon model, mate? I do. It's a very, very similar pose to the rebooted Gulliman one, isn't it? But I'm not sure I'll pick it up because I don't think I've got any use for it. But yeah, I do quite like it, actually. There's a lot of meme stuff online, isn't there, where it looks like he's kind of throwing a tennis ball and holding a racket and stuff. But yeah, I like the model, actually. It's a big improvement over the original, put it that way. Silver MKI says, Luke's one of the few people who I add his videos onto my painting and modelling tips playlist for when I do snow, rocks, resin. He's got a real good knack of making it look awesome, but making it look easy. And there's not many people can pull that off. I think he's one of very few that I would absolutely 100% kind of recommend people learn from. There's a lot of kind of terrain videos out there that have amazing sort of finished sort of effects, but it looks bloody hard to kind of replicate. Like is it Luke Towan as an example? His videos are unbelievable, but you need a good set of skills personally to kind of to be able to do that. But Luke Fellowes' videos, he just makes it look easy, and that's why he's 60,000 subscribers. That's exactly why. Carrie says, Batman miniatures game looked pretty good, but I don't hear much about it. I think it's picking up again now, mate. They not long ago had a second edition. If you've seen my video about games that deserve a second chance, it's in there. They've just had a second edition of that, and they start to do starter boxes. So I think it could have a bit of a resurgence coming through now, but the people who play it love it. I don't think night models have got the best of reputation, so it doesn't really get pushed a lot. We've got Colin, Black Country Wargaming, even buddy, said only just popped in, but what's your favourite editing style of videos to watch? Long form, one take style, choppy and straight to the point, or something else? I think it depends, mate, upon what it's about. I personally find it quite hard to sit and watch just a video like this, where a camera is just in one place, sitting talking all the time with nothing else. That's why you'll see in a lot of my videos, I will kind of edit in what you call B-roll, which is some kind of shots of the board or some kind of sweeping shots, just to get some movement into the video. I spend a lot of time looking at like kind of retention rates on my videos and things like that. So if you're into YouTube or you're into kind of any of that video making, YouTube allow you to go in and see what the retention is on your video. So how long people have watched it for, at what point they stop watching. And you can click on the points where you see a drop off, and you can see something that you've done where you think, oh, I've lost their interest there, or I've said something that was maybe controversial and people have switched off, or things like that. So I like to get into the analytics and stuff, and that's why I try lots of different things. I'll try kind of sort of choppy jump cuts where you'll see kind of like where you'll very specifically and I've intentionally done it so the video jumps quite quick. You'll see bits where I've tried to mask that by putting kind of footage over the top where I know I've got a cut coming up to edit something in where I've maybe said something wrong, so I've had to say it a second time. I've maybe chopped something out of the video, so I'll cover it over with some kind of sweeping shots of a board game or something. I've tried moving cameras around and trying different angles. For me personally, I think 10-minute long videos really are kind of where my personal attention span is. Once they get much longer than that, I really, really have to want to know what the person's talking about. But I think somewhere between kind of 6 and 10 minutes is my particular span. And that's why you'll see most of my videos are around that length, other than kind of these Monday Night Lives. Tony's saying, for those going to the weekend, don't forget your lumberjack shirts. Bugger. Tim saying, Alan Partridge wine reference. Christopher says, there are pockets of groups that still play fantasy battles. There is, and there's a one local to me as well, but they're very few and far between. Darren Whitehouse is in and says, hail and well met. Sorry I'm late. Don't worry about it, buddy. Thanks for coming in. Henrik says, I hate removing primer off plastic models. It's dead easy, mate. I just use white spirits, or clean spirits as it's called now, the non-toxic one. I just dump it in there overnight and then toothbrush it off the next day. But yeah, you can use like kind of, is it called? I think it's Night Remorse for like a paint stripper, but there's a kind of like a non-toxic version now that a lot of people use. You literally have it in for 10 minutes and then the paint falls off. Artie said, 6 weeks ago you had 34 to 36 viewers for chat, now 53. Great stuff. It's gone up a little bit the last few weeks, actually. It certainly climbed when we did the stuff about the GW burnout. We seem to attract a lot more kind of sort of regular viewers, if you like. But these things can kind of vary, and it really is topic dependent. There's a real core of you folks that come in every week, and it's awesome to have you. And to be honest, it's a real mix, because of course I'd like more people to come and watch it, and I'd love more people to come and join in the chat. But then by the same stretch, I watched the live stream yesterday that somebody that isn't within Wargaming, that they're kind of like a family vlogger that I just happened to watch now and again, and he had something like about 700 or 800 people in the chat, and the chat just streamed off to the point where he didn't really. The only people he paid any attention to were the ones that paid money. So when the super chat come up, their name was up in lights, kind of thing, and he would kind of acknowledge them. And part of me doesn't want to get to that point that I don't have time to interact with people's comments. I quite enjoy having these kind of one-to-one chats, if you like, or it feels one-to-one. So it's a real balance. 50 is getting around that level where when it gets much more than 50, the chat goes a bit quick and I lose my train of thought sometimes, and I maybe need a moderator then to kind of help me out. Skullmunch says he's loving the new series. Al says, you in the northeast like me? I'm South Shields. I am in the northeast. I'm in a place called Backworth, mate, which is kind of Newcastle way. But I used to live in South Shields many years ago. I used to work at. You might know if you're living around it there. I used to work at Via Systems or Interconnection Systems as it was previously as well. The circuit board factory. That was where I served my apprenticeship as an electrician many years ago. Mark says regarding Hellboy, the EU vessel. Oh, that's just jumped off the screen here. Is a port with a UK vessel round in Portugal, so only 2 days away. God, I can't wait for mine, buddy. Robert says Kings of War Vanguard straightforward to get into a game, money wise. More likely to do skirmish games now for time. Yeah, a lot of my stuff's more skirmish stuff now. 1, because it's easier to film. 2, because it's less to paint. And 3, because they just take less time to play as well, to be fair. So Silver says, hope it gets into port before the 29th. Something tells me, mate, we've got a long way to go with this Brexit stuff. I don't think we're going to see it at the end of March. Patrick says, thanks for the input. The DC Hobbit League has PDFs for War of the Ring on their website, which makes it easier. I think if you can distribute them around, even if you can just put together like a small kind of demo game and try and get them interested just to try it out, that's always a good start. Only one pin man said, everybody says Terrorhawks. I couldn't remember what it was. Thank you very much. It was Terrorhawks. And Joel Wrigley, I don't think we said good evening to you, buddy. So good evening. Frost and Fist says He-Man and Mask. Thundercats was another one as well. I love Thundercats. Furious George says, how old are you? Am I dating myself now with my kids' TV? I'm 43. I am 44 this year. I think about it there. So yeah, I'm 44 at the end of this year. Green Stuff Games in says, hey, sorry I'm late. No problem at all, Josie. Good to have you in. Silver MK says, unfortunately, to sleep now as I had a 12-hour day. Good live chat, always enjoyable. Thanks for coming in, buddy. We got Jedediah Castro. Good evening. Says, when will you do more Walking Dead All-Out War videos? It's a good question, actually. It's funny, isn't it? It's one of them things where I do jump around. I like to do lots of different things, but I do love Walking Dead. I mean, I went to a Walking Dead tournament not too long ago. I was at Mantic doing play testing for the new Walking Dead rules on the bigger scale games as well. So I think maybe once I can do some stuff on the channel about the new Walking Dead, because obviously I know about it, but I can't talk about it. Once I can talk more about it, you'll probably see Walking Dead come back a bit more then, I think. So watch out for that. Marco says, have you ever considered changing the name of your channel to make it easier to find for tabletop gamers? The answer is yes. I definitely have a few times. And I often wonder, and still wonder now, that does the name limit me from growing faster? Like, do people just sort of dismiss the name of the channel? However, the reason I haven't done it is because I've kind of got this far now, so I'm creeping up to 5,000 subscribers now, and that in itself is a huge achievement. I mean, that's blown me away. When I first started this, I didn't even think I'd get to 100 subscribers back then. And also, people have been really generous and have bought things like t-shirts from my channel with the logo and with the name on as well, and I would feel really bad if they had spent money on sort of merchandise from me and then I went, oh, and by the way, I'm changing the channel now. So there are other channels, I guess, that aren't sort of gaming specific. So if you think of Shut Up and Sit Down as a board gaming channel, doesn't really tell you what it's about. If you think about No Pun Included, that doesn't really tell you what they're about. If you think even Beasts of War really doesn't really say what it's about. I think if my videos are good enough, the name's almost secondary, and I'm fortunate that I'm kind of starting to get in touch with a lot of. I'm building up a good kind of network of companies and stuff now, and relationships with people like Mantic and people like Asmodee. That actually I think the name's less of an issue now, but for a long time I did think I'd made a big clanger. Especially when I keep getting a lot of people trying to join the Facebook group who are looking for like blackjack and roulette. VJ says that every other Sunday shows on Tabletop Minions can get a bit crazy with the amount of people. That's why the irregular streams are worth being a part of. Well, until that gets too big. Yeah, they definitely can be, but it ends up that the people in the chat end up chatting to each other less than they're chatting to Adam. Frost and Fist said, I'm off to take the missus out. Take care, everybody. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. Carl says, have you watched the Sunderland FC documentary on Netflix yet? I'll answer that question first. Yes, I have. I've watched it all, and I'm really glad I did actually. So I wouldn't say I was a massive football supporter these days. I used to have season tickets for Sunderland, and I used to go. I never missed a game. I went to away games. I've been to Wembley to watch them. I've been all over the years, and it kind of just soured over time. Really, I felt like the club was going a direction that just wasn't about the fans anymore, and I stopped supporting them, I suppose. They're still my team, and I still watch for the results, but I kind of give up on them a little bit. But that documentary changed my mind a little bit, and it made me realise that there's more to it than the fans see, and also that the gulf between clubs because of money is what's killing the game. It's not players so much, do you know what I mean? Not intentionally. It's not like players are not trying anymore. So yeah, I really enjoyed the documentary actually. They're making another one as well about this season. Actually, it must have been about last season when they went down from the Championship as well. Next question was, what Kickstarters are you interested in this year? I'll probably be jumping all in on Bloodborne and Gotham City Season 2. To be honest, I've not looked too far ahead. One Kickstarter I am really looking forward to is I'm now going to embarrass myself by forgetting the name, but it's the kind of the fantasy sort of fighting game that's coming from Mythic Games. Is it Super something Brawl? I forget what it's called now. Somebody will remind me in the chat. That looks pretty exciting. Other than that, I've not really looked at a lot of Kickstarters recently, if I'm honest, mate. We've got Ricky Bailey in. Good evening, Ricky. He says, new to Wargaming and loving it. Wish I'd started it earlier. Yeah, I must admit, I was a bit of a late starter as well. I didn't start until in fairness, probably the last 8 or 9 years. So I did dabble in it when I was younger, but I'm not like kind of one of these people that's been playing for the last 30 years kind of thing. Tim Kelly says, have you played Core Space yet? Behind you? No, I haven't, mate. It came the day before I went on holiday. I've looked through the inside of the box, really impressed with the quality of the stuff inside. I've built up one of the kind of small crates just to see how they go together. But I need some time to really kind of do it justice. I don't want to just do kind of a quick unboxing and go, oh, this is what's in the box. That's not necessarily fair to the guys at Battle Systems, and you'll see that elsewhere. I want to actually kind of play it and give it a review, really. So, no, not had a chance, but what I would say is I'm really, really impressed with the content. Al says, Sunderland fan, unsubscribe. I'll be checking now. Mark saying, just to say, very upset I can't make the weekender. It'll be moping in Sulkle while the missus shops for her birthday. But it's still amazing. But hope it's amazing, and I'll catch you the next time. Buddy, I really appreciate you kind of saying that. It's one of them things where not everybody's going to be able to attend. And to be honest, if this goes well, who knows what can come next? I've been sort of thinking myself about, you know, what happens with the next one. How do we kind of give people a bit more notice, and how do we make it even better? What can we learn from this one? What can I learn personally? Because I'll be completely honest, and if Jay's still in the chat, kind of it's more of an apology to him really. My work went absolutely nuts for a while, and to be honest, I probably took my foot off the gas, and he's done a lot of the heavy lifting on this weekender. So really, if this weekend is absolutely awesome, Jay needs a lot of praise for this one, and Steve for the work that they've put in, because they've really kind of held it up really, and I've been kind of lagging a little bit, if I'm honest. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be other ones. Tim says, Core Space, love the crate mechanic, nice touch. Yeah, I like some of the stuff that's in there. There's just things like the little player boards are plastic and not cardboard, so where you put your pegs and stuff in, there's just some nice little touches in there. They've really thought about it. Let's have a look. Mark's in his Gloom and Wild West Exodus at the moment, hoping Warcry might get into Age of Sigmar. I'll be chatting about that soon, mate. Dice Tales Weekend and what's in the goodie bag. So, what's in the goodie bag? There is... I don't really want to tell you too much, to be honest. There is an exclusive model that you can't get anywhere else, being sculpted for the Weekender. So there's one of those. There's vouchers in there as well, so you can get a bit of discount in the store should you want to spend anything. There is... I'm not telling you. I'm not going to tell you anything else that's in there. All I'll say is it's worth the entrance price alone. Craig said he's just been playing for just over a year. His aim for next is to get his Wolves all painted up. Yeah, mine too, mate. Josie's saying she just got home and super hungry, so got to go make some food. Hope you're still on when I get back. We'll probably be finished about past, Josie. So yeah, 10 minutes or so, I think. Ricky's in Croydon. Phil said, "What do you think of Warcry, mate?" I've got a video coming this week, mate, and that'll tell more. And it's less about what I think of it, and it's more about what I think of people's reaction to it. So a little bit of a teaser there. Look, Arcee said, "Thoughts on the latest Kill Team announcement, Elites?" I'm worried, if I'm honest, because bringing Elites into Kill Team is not what Kill Team was about. It's becoming small-scale 40k. And if you want to play small-scale 40k, just play 40k with less points. Kill Team was its own little thing. It was these kind of sort of small fire teams going in and kind of, doing bits of jobs and stuff. So I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. And that's one of my worries about Warcry as well. However, good to see they're still supporting it. So I'll wait and see. Steve saying he would love to have gone as well, but he's at the weekend at FranticCon. Completely understandable, buddy. We will definitely not clash it next time. And probably try not to get it too close to Adepticon as well. Because there's a lot of companies are tied up with that as well. Peter saying, "A new latest Kill Team announcement." Yeah, there's a one every week. And Mark says, "I'll see you at Atlantic in May though." You will do, buddy, definitely. Mark says, "What time is the weekend starting Friday?" I think it's open from 12. I haven't got the details in front of us, but I think it opens from like kind of lunchtime, mate. But obviously we've got to get there and get set in the morning. So Steve's saying he's at Atlantic in May as well. Looking forward to it. Nice one. And Ricky says, "Shame I'm playing down my local GW store at the minute, but trying to find a club in Croydon to join." I'm trying to think where's Matt Mountain play? Where's Thor's Hammer? I'm not sure where that one is. Is that not Croydon way? I could be wrong. Typical. He's not in tonight. The one night when they wanted to mention it. So how we're doing for time? How we cracking on? 22:23. So we've got about 5 or 10 minutes left. What I'll do is I'll very quickly have a look and see if we had any other questions. So Bob Point has been asking as well, saying that he's over at Mantic Gaming tonight, so he'll catch the stream later. But what one new game are you looking forward to playing the most this year? And which event are you most looking forward to? I'll start with the event one. I'm obviously most looking forward to Top Table Weekender. But aside from that, I can't wait for UK Games Expo. I've managed to get a hotel on site at UK Games Expo this year. So it means I haven't got to sort of drive the car anyway. I haven't got to travel. I'm really going to kind of spend the time doing a bit of networking, kind of meeting some of the different games makers and designers and doing some demos. And then I want to spend the evenings really kind of sort of socialising and having a few beers and playing a few games. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Which one game are you looking forward to playing the most this year? I think it's probably quite close, if I'm honest. It's probably between Hellboy and Batman. So I backed both of those on Kickstarter, and they're both delivering soon within the next kind of couple of months. And I think it's just the anticipation of, because I've played Hellboy, because I've kind of held it in my hands, and I know it's going to be good when it arrives. I'm really looking forward to playing through it. And the Batman one, just the sheer volume of stuff that's coming in that box, I can't wait for it. And I've also got a copy of Joan of Arc on its way as well. So Mythic Games are sending me a copy of Joan of Arc when the Kickstarter ships. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that as well. Tim Kelly was asking, if he's still in the chat, what chapter should I choose for my Space Marines? He's collected the Conquest mag, got the 40k starter set, doesn't know much lore, don't want Space Smurfs or yellow sods to paint. I would, in that case, buddy, why don't you go Blood Angels? Blood Angels are pretty cool. I would definitely, that's not a bad choice. Spray them red. You know, the rules are pretty good as well with the kind of the bloodthirst and stuff like that. The blood rage. If you get into the ones, I forget what they call now. I'm going to embarrass myself, but basically some of them are painted black as well, so that's an easy job. Yeah, go Blood Angels, mate. Nathan saying, how much paint would a painter paint if a painter could paint? He'd probably paint quite a bit. Alan was asking about the Shadow Spear box, which I think we've already chatted about tonight as well. And then Lee's been asking about board games as well, which we chatted about before. Where are we now? Carl saying, oh, war cry. Another GW way of breaking up the Mordheim community yet again and causing more upset. I wish they'd just put some of the Mordheim community out of their misery and say it's dead. Well, it's funny you should say that, but that's some of the stuff that's in the video really, actually, is... It's the reaction of the community to the announcement, not even the game. That is what I've covered really. Thor's hammers in bone and wood. Craig saying you need to come down with his blood red skies to play a game or two. Should do, buddy. Phil says, do you prefer a right-handed or a left-handed brush? Always right-handed, mate. I'm right-handed. Says, thanks for the show. Peter saying Blood Angels for the win. Christian says, don't really play war games anymore. I play board games and D&D with friends once or twice a month, but I don't enjoy GW stores, so there's no option for battle games. I really enjoy like sort of war gaming, but I'm also really enjoying board gaming at the minute as well. And board gaming, I'm finding that it's just easier to get to the table because I ain't got to worry about building and painting and that kind of stuff. So, and my wife will play board games as well. So I must admit my own personal kind of tastes are twisting and turning a little bit. I think I'll always build and paint miniatures because I love that. But it's definitely more 50-50 now than it's ever been. In the past, board games were kind of almost an afterthought. Now it really is kind of 50-50. And that's why at the start of the year, I really kind of redid my schedule and tried to kind of balance that out a little bit. I'm conscious of... if I wasn't doing as many videos a week, it would be a case of it might, you know, if I was doing like one video a week or two videos a week, it might be 2 or 3 weeks before I get back round to kind of talking about miniature games and stuff. So I'm conscious of keeping that balance, but my own personal interest is definitely more 50-50 these days. Tim says there, I didn't realize you were still in, buddy. He says Blood Angels were on your short list. Cheers, bud. Nice one, fella. Ricky saying he'd like to try D&D. Yeah, I'd like to try D&D as well. I did, to be fair, Steve from Steve Small World did try to get me involved with his Skype campaign, but it just I couldn't make it when he played, to be fair. I think I tried twice and I let him down both times, so that's why I've never gotten into it. That one Englishman, good evening, that one Englishman, says GW stores normally have groups. If you're not in the group, it's hard to break in. That's been my experience as well, if I'm honest. Tim says Blood Ravens look good, but didn't fancy freehanding the Raven on. Yeah, you can get the upgrade kits for the Blood Angels are pretty nice actually, but then in fairness, the with it just being that little kind of yellow, is it like a yellow blood drop? They're either pretty good to freehand or the transfers, what they're called, the decals. They look pretty cool as well. Margot says, who makes the best miniatures in your opinion? Without a doubt, GW make the best miniatures, I would say. They're so crisp, they're so clean, they're a good scale. Personally, I think they make the best miniatures, but I think other companies make fantastic miniatures too. I think the Infinity miniatures are absolutely fantastic. I think some of the new Mantic stuff is absolutely fantastic. I think some of the stuff we're seeing in board games now absolutely blows out of the water, probably where some miniatures companies were maybe sort of like 4 or 5 years ago. Stuff we're getting a single piece board game miniatures now It's just on a different level as well. But I think GW are still, their quality is still up there. Carl saying, how often do you play stuff? My club's had to move now, so I only get 1 game a month. 12 games a year sounds really disappointing to me with all the money, paint and time spent. Including board games and miniatures games, I probably play at least three times a week. A lot of it with my wife with board games and stuff like that. But when the kids come over at weekends, we'll play some stuff as well. So I'm getting kind of multiple games per week in, if I'm honest. But some of that is so I can play stuff to review it as well. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. I mean, it takes up a lot of my time. However, what it's doing is it means me and my wife sit and we play board games together, and we don't just sit and veg in front of the TV or watch a film. We sit and chat and play board games, and so it has a knock-on effect of we actually spend like some quality time together. Steve says, really lucky at the moment. Our club play war games, board games, card games, and role-playing games. Darren says, when's the next Fighting Fantasy episode? I'm not sure, buddy. We'll have to put it in the diary, yeah? Hal says, is the draw over? Did I win? No, I'm out of here. It is over, buddy. Jack from Shaggy Wargaming was the winner. Peter says, I lost. I left ages ago. And Robert Marshall said, Tim Kelly, have you thought about making your own colour chapter? Hal says, have a great week. Good man. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. Steve says, just starting D&D again for the first time in over 20 years. I've never played D&D. I've never done any role-play games. That's why I'd quite like to try it out at some point. And Mark says to Peter, how do you lose a draw? Isn't it a tie? Skullman says, hashtag top bands. See you Friday, buddy. Can't wait. Got Tommy Leon Blade in. Good evening. He says, if you're talking about material quality, GW is great, but a lot of their models are missing a character, unlike a lot of the old stuff. Yeah, I would agree. Some of their stuff doesn't have the character of some other companies, but I think purely for quality of sculpt and quality of material, they're by far the best. But I would agree there's some other companies where their miniatures have more kind of dynamicism, if that's a word. They look more dynamic. Their poses are better. Yeah, so you're not wrong there. Tim says to Robert he hasn't thought about doing his own chapter, so he'll have a think about that. And Peter is having a bit of a laugh at Mark there as well. So we're just over 10:30. So all 42 of you still watching. Awesome chat tonight. I've really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure how it would go, kind of just opening it up to a bit of a free-for-all, but the questions have been awesome. It's kept it going tonight. But yeah, let me know what other kind of topics you'd like to cover as well, because the Monday night topics are always a little bit... Some of the things I think about, I think would be better as just a sit-and chat type video, because I don't think the topic is kind of meaty enough to last the full night. So if you've got any topics that you'd like to chat about, put them down in the comments of this video. I'd love it. I mean, we've had 40 odd people in here tonight, but we've only had 15 likes on the video. If you could all thumbs up the video, that really helps other people to see it once it kind of goes to, what's the word I'm looking for? Once it's up there for anybody to watch rather than watching it live, it really helps that. So head across, give a thumbs up to the video. Get down into the comments in the video as well and let me know what kind of topics you'd like to see in future weeks. Because it's always a good balance to have a really good topic to get the chat flowing, and then I can kind of talk about my opinions, dive back in, read the comments, dive back into the subject matter, and I think that's what keeps these kind of things going really well. So that'll be awesome. I'll have videos for the rest of this week. We'll be live streaming on Friday night as well from the Top Table Legacy Weekender. I'll be doing some videos over the weekend as well, so hopefully some of those you might see either over the weekend or you'll see them the following week. Certainly Luke from Luke's APS and myself are planning to do some stuff over the weekend. So I will, I think I'll call it there, really. Mark saying, fantastic night, have a great weekend. Looking forward to the live streams and the full report. We'll chat about that probably next Monday. And Christian said, thanks Andy, night all, see some of you at the weekend. And Marco says, if you ever plan a meet-up down south, count me in. I think we should at some point, buddy. I should get myself down south and pop and see everybody at some point. So, thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Have an awesome week. And I will see you tomorrow in the next video.